Do you know which of the following is the name of China's space station core module? A. Tiangong, B. Tianhe, and C. Tianwen. The answer is B. Tianhe. But what does it mean? Hi, welcome to 1000 Whys as we continue with our Space Talk series. I'm Huang Rui. Allow me to your tour guide and take you on a journey back in time to get an idea of how our spaceships, cargo craft, and space station module were named. On the way, you may also experience Chinese visions about the heavens, which in Chinese is Tian by the way, that are wildly imaginative, adventurous, and heartwarming. Ready? Now, let's start with one of the most popular Chinese mythologies about how humankind came into being and how the sky means so much from our very beginning. It is about the mythological character, the creator of humanity, 女娲. This female deity existed in the beginning of the world. Feeling very lonely, she molded figures both of men and women in her likeness through water and mud. But monsters came to break the pillars of the heavens, and Nuwa tried very hard to mend the collapsing sky. Of course, she eventually succeeded, working hard and non-stop to repair the damage. Nuwa's story has appeared in many literary descriptions throughout history. One historic reference came from a poet named Tianwen over 2,000 years ago. He mentioned the mythology of Nuwa in one of his poems, Tianwen, or Asking the Heavens. The poem rose over 170 questions about the universe, the creation of the galaxies, the Earth, myths, legends, and historical events. So, as you could deduce, this is what inspired modern Chinese scientists to name the first unmanned probe to Mars, Tianwen. Now, let me walk you through in a bit detail the literary works, mythologies, folktales, as well as in Chinese philosophy, from which many say triggered the drive to explore outer space. First, let's come back to the poet Qu Yuan. The poet himself might have been a reader of the book, which is known as Shan Hai Jing, or the classic of mountains and seas, a book of mythologies existing even earlier. The stories depict mythic geography, beasts, gods, and deities living in a time span of over 1,800 years. For example, there is the story of a hungry celestial dog with a white head and ferocious nature, which swallows up the sun and the moon from time to time, thus causing solar and lunar eclipses. Another perspective came from a Chinese astronomer named Shi Shen, who lived around the same period as the poet Qu Yuan, who had his own observation. He discovered that the eclipses were the results of the shadows cast by either the moon or the earth. Interesting enough, also in this book, there were references of a nation of people who were a hybrid of human and fish, or the Chinese version of mermaids. A single-eyed, three-tailed, cat-like creature, or Cyclops in Greek mythology. And the deity bearing a human face with the body of a horse with wings and tiger stripes, akin to griffins and centaurs. This was a time when the earliest Chinese cosmological system was about to be established. On one hand, the collection of Chinese mythologies about heaven and earth had long been popular among the people, arousing more and more curiosity. On the other hand, society needed to observe and monitor the impact of climate change on agriculture and warfare, which motivated people to start building observatories. It is said that hundreds of major stars and galaxies in the sky were recorded at that time. Whether it's to protect agricultural plants from natural disaster or choosing to battle in favorable weather, sky watching activities show people's aspiration to keep balance with nature. The Warring States period, over 2,000 years ago, saw the first golden age of the ancient Chinese cosmological development. It is about the study on the positions, relationships, and movements of the sun, the moon, the major planets in the solar system, and the constellations in the sky, all of which will generate a great impact not only on the environment, but also on the mental and physical states of people. Thus, one main principle of Taoism became prominent at this time: the philosophy of universal harmony, which is the balance of heaven, earth, and humanity, a term we refer to in Chinese as 和. In case that sounds familiar to you, it's actually the name of the Chinese space station, Tiangong, meaning heavenly palace, the core module Tianhe, meaning harmony of heavens, and the pair of experimental modules, the Wentian and the Mengtian, meaning quest for heavens and dreaming of heavens. As these names indicate, Chinese scientists are looking forward to cooperate with their partners from other countries to work in the experimental modules for the purpose of universal harmony and the common good of all humankind on the planet Earth. Have you heard of any Chinese mythologies, any novels or books struck your imagination on the subject? What are the legends about heaven in your culture? Be sure to share with us in the comment section of the show. And thank you for listening to this episode of Space Talk on 1000 Whys. In our next episode, we'll talk about what the taikonauts are eating in their 3-month stint in outer space. Any special Chinese dishes as you can remember? Follow us to find more. I'm Huang Rui. See you next time.